Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today, I'm back being joined once again by Jimmy, Jake, and like always, Fluff.
Is it really always exciting?
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty much.
With that being said, just buttons on below. Feel free to click them there for a reason. Today's matchup is Jake versus Steve. Steve's one of the newer people at our shop. I think it's like his second or third week here, and he's taken on, which I feel like a lot of people have done this when they're new to the shop, Starter Deck Vegeta, which was a really good deck, had a lot of good cards to it, and that's probably why. Versus Hitpod.
Yep, seemed really popular. Really out of the box. A good job, Bandai, on the Blue Vegeta starter deck.
We saw a common trend similar to this around the time that the Gogeta starter deck came out, and then also when the Brawly starter deck came out. A lot of people that kind of came out in those times played the deck, so this is just kind of the other, like, super well received starter deck.
I think it's just like I think it's just like a great straightforward deck as well. Like we've seen a lot of starter decks try to introduce like a new mechanic, like the Shenron starter deck. While Shenron was a very prominent in the meta, it was kind of a little too complicated for new players to pick up a starter deck of. But Vegeta is just super straightforward. Like, it just does what it says on the box. Like, you swing at your opponent and you kill them. Like,
And so, unfortunately, I did message Steve, didn't get a reply back, and so he's not here to join us today. We'll kind of talk about the interactions, what occurred in today's matchup. Jake will kind of give his input, what occurred, because Jake was part of this match, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I really like the U7 like comboing engine that people employ with this leader. And it was interesting to see him charge a Unison. I didn't really know what to expect from that. I didn't know if it was just because he was new or if it was some part of his strategy he was employing.
Trying to use that big brain stuff on you?
Yeah, I mean, that's how the game is played.
He's apparently done a lot of improving in the short time that he's been playing the game, from what I understand.
so Jake, let's talk about the game plan going into playing against somebody that you know is a new player that is not as experienced as others that you're normally playing against at the shop. We talked about it a lot lately, where experienced players tend to underestimate the thought process of new players, so they get caught off guard by it. Was there, not to spoil anything, but was there anything like this in that match where you were like, damn, like I did not expect him to do something like that?
Actually, this concept has been brought up before, and I think it was Matt that mentioned it on the channel, I want to say around this time last year, but he was talking about how specifically I never really underestimate an opponent. It doesn't matter if my opponent has been playing for 2 days or 2 years. I'm pretty aware of the cards that they can use to kill me, and at least defensively, I will try and keep myself from dying to something simple.
I do that too. I play just as hard against a new player as I do anyone else, and go on.
I was gonna say I may test out play lines that I normally wouldn't take against new players, but I like you said, play as hard as I would any other game.
We have a wave. It's like we're in the middle of a new wave of new players where we have 4 or 5 new players, and I feel like they're all learning and developing the game together, because a lot of them have a lot of things that experienced players don't do, but they all seem to do. Like, they'll combo really hard at times that they don't really need to, or they will neurotically swing into field cards, into battle cards, or they'll miss windows for counters or they'll miss their skills oftentimes. And those do generally make the matches easier, but you still can't underestimate them because Dragon Ball is just the type of game a win can come out of nowhere if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Going over this video before recording it, I was trying to pick out because this is our best of 3 matchups, and I was trying to pick out the matches that seem to be best. And on average, second rounds are always better to pull. But when I saw the turn 3 start here, I was really confused, and I'm really curious what you thought, Jake. So he's already charged a Unison, a Super Combo, then a Unison.
I did not expect this Kaba Spirit Resonance, actually. I think that's the name of the card, right?
I believe so.
It's
Vegeta Kaba.
It's just Vegeta Spirit Resonance.
Yeah, SSB
Okay.
Vegeta.
Poor Kaba, bro.
Yeah, poor Kaba. Anyway, I did not expect that to come out. Here he is explaining to me what it does. Game 1, he was employing the Piccolo Unison, and seeing him charge that many Kabas, just in my mind, that Piccolo Unison was his preferred weapon, and he was just looking for that and would rather use that. Here things get a little bit wonky. Like, since he's got a Unison on the field, he should be, like, awakening right now. But, he kind of does things a little bit out of order, if memory serves, just because he is new, but we end up catching everything up later in the turn, and let's see, here we are talking through everything.
But when I saw him play that 3-drop promo card, I was like, oh. You know what? That was a great play.
Yeah, that was exactly my reaction. Oh, that card exists. Okay.
Yeah, that Vegeta Kaba, I had some experience with Blue Vegeta, and I always thought about like, oh, that card's so good. I need to run that. I want to play that. And then I get to turn 3, I have the card in hand. I'm like, I don't want to play it. But then when I see somebody play it, it all of a sudden sparks it in me again. They're like, wow, that card is actually pretty solid, especially if you don't have a Unison established.
Yeah. Bringing the Unison to the board with 3 markers is pretty nuts.
Yeah. And it also has a secondary effect that it can blow out something, I think, 20,000 ignoring barrier.
Spirit Boost 1 boosts his leader.
If you don't grab the Unison.
Yeah,
and then if it's in rest mode, it'll boost the leader too. So it's got a lot of text.
So here's where Jake had mentioned earlier, it gets a little wonky. He swings with the leader. Now, typically, Vegeta has an alternate awakening, where if you have a Unison on board, I think a specified cost of 2, you can awaken and go down to 5 life. I actually think he forgot about that secondary condition because of the following attack after this one. And
he's already at 5. I think really he should just be flipping his leader over here and restanding the 2 energy.
And this next coming weekend, I'll remind him about the deck and how what could have been done differently to help him become a better player as well. But for sure, awakening, swinging to Vegeta, which we didn't give Kaba the double strike. But here, you comboed out of it. He's swinging with the, I think the 19K. Can't remember off the top of my head right now or not.
It is.
Yeah.
And truth be told, for a hit deck, I feel like you're going a little bit slower this turn as well. Maybe just playing a little bit more protective.
Didn't really have that hot of a start this time, honestly, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. So, Jake, we've talked about Hit before on the channel in the past when I played it, and then you've been on the channel playing this deck, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not just dreaming that. But how do you feel about Hit in this current meta where things have like just slowed down so much that we're starting to see, other decks kind of creep up? Like I've been seeing a lot of Life Flip Frieza, stuff like SS4 Vegeta Ramp is still doing really well because it gets to the higher turns. How do you think Hit's faring right now?
It hits in kind of a weird place where if you could kill your opponent very early, you're usually in pretty good shape. But establishing a lot of your value pieces kind of extends that clock for your opponent a little bit, like spending energy on the pod and things like that. So it's kind of in this weird like mid-range spot, which is where a lot of decks right now are ending up. And in that regard, it's pretty much just another good value mid-range deck. Its real problem comes when playing against blue and a lot of the higher powered counterplays and things that blue has access to. Like, without establishing a lot of pressure early, the 3-drop baby unison, like if they can resolve the -5, pretty much puts you in a like a helpless situation.
It does have the ability to deal with a lot of, I would call win cards within the format right now, because it instantly gives you the ability to deal with double strike, blocker, and critical.
Yes.
Type cards, which is a really awesome toolbox to have on a leader. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right in the idea of having to establish some early pressure to make the later stages a smidge easier.
Yeah, because like in theory, you could use your leader effect and pop turning the tide, but like good luck getting a card in your hand somehow.
Yep.
And it's really good for stopping like 10-drop Foo, which is a card people usually establish and then just assume the game is over. But with Hit, you can kind of surprise them a little bit.
It's also super solid against the defensive turn for a SS4 thwarting player.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people forget that card has blocker, because most of the time it ends the game when it touches the board. But against Hit, it's like, hey, if you pass, it's just gone, for little to no cost on my end.
Even if you like swing out of order, so you swing with it once and then swing with your lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can cause some really interesting play approaches for the thwarting player, because it's like a lot of times people like to swing once, get you down to like 3 to swing with a triple striker, swing with a double striker afterwards. But they have to, at that point, commit to swinging out with that before they do anything else because of Hit. So to walk back what happened in the video there was a ruling question based off of the 3-drop Yamcha counterplay, which continues to be a confusion even for experienced players.
I just noticed. I don't know if he goes back to this or not, but he did combo a super combo with another card. Immediately playing the Goku, but has not resolved the super combo's effect. Did not catch that the first time around.
No, he will. I'm pretty sure that's fine, right? Like
that is another thing that I've seen that they've been doing. They've been resolving their super combo effects after the battle is done.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's something that's been addressed with them. Because every time that I've seen it, it's like, oh, I just forgot to do it. But in a larger event, it's important to know that if your opponent wanted to rule shark you, they could make an argument that you missed your timing for it.
Well, on these quality super combos, that is actually an optional effect to do the bottom and draw.
And that's where the rule sharking comes from. Hey, you didn't do it. I know I played a guy, and I was like, I think he did it twice, and then by the third time, I'm like, stop, super combo man. You cannot forget that.
Yeah, I have every time I've seen it happen, I made a point to stop and walk them through it. Because the combo phase is kind of confusing, especially if you read the rule book. It does not do a very good job at explaining what it is.
No, it doesn't.
So we're in Wonky Part 2 right now. Like we mentioned earlier, he did not awaken the leader before swinking, and I think reading the leader just for a quick glance, he's like, oh, cool, the unison has double strike. That's what's occurring right here. And so when he swings at Jake, he just goes 50 double strike. And you just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And you go with that.
Yeah.
Without
I mean,
realizing the misplay that occurred.
I saw the Vegeta on the backside, Kaba Unison. Like, to me, it made sense.
There was a way that he orders this turn that he can still do it this way.
For sure.
Which is why I don't see it being a huge misplay. Because he just needed to sequence the turn a little bit differently to get this all in the way that he did.
And after playing the Goku and Jake, you fall in love with a Kabutokai. It's just so heartening.
Oh, God, Jake, you didn't tell me you did this to him.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Well, I played Eradicator of Peace the game before, and couldn't really find much offense this game. So this Kabutokai was really my, like, get out of jail free card here.
It's disgusting.
I feel like taking it back a half second, Bancroft was talking about, and Jake was talking about how, you know, he probably just skimmed through the leader and was like, oh, gives the Unison double strike. Card games are one of those things, like, we're kind of taught in life to just skim read stuff, but card games are one of those things that you can't skim read, and we're all guilty. Even experienced players do it, where they'll just look at a card, skim it real quick, get a generality about the effect, and that's where most misplays come from, or misreading the way a certain effect works. It happens all the time. So, you know, if this is the worst that he does in this match, he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
Has it been touched on? I'm thinking that's Army Reborn.
Oh,
that's currently
I meant
in
to
his
mention
warp.
I meant to mention it earlier in the video. So I was confused about this as well. Fluff reminded me that Austin had swung by the shop, and he bought Austin's Armor Reborn, and he just kept it on the mat.
It's just it's his spirit animal.
I do remember at the shop you guys talking about Armor Reborn and how, like, it is a predictable card. Like, if your opponent naturally goes down to 2 life, you know if something's coming. And mentioning, like, ways of getting around that or, like, trying to play it off. And I was like, man, okay, he's playing Armor Reborn. And then when I started looking at this video, I'm like, why is it out on the mat already?
Talking for next time.
Yeah, learning him up good now so he can win with it later.
That's actually the secret text on Vegeta. You send Army Reborn, trigger Warp, and then if you make it a turn 8, you get to play it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, which does happen in this game, by the way. Spoiler alert.
Turn 8, yes.
Yeah, he plays Baby Hatch on this turn.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
I don't believe in my heart of hearts that Hitpod could take a game to 8. It either wins well before that.
I've seen Jake almost deck out before, man.
But not at turn 8.
No, I think it was turn 5 or 6.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Hitpod loses by that point or decks itself out.
Fluff, you want to bet on that? How much? I will build a Hitpod list that'll take it to turn 8.
No, it has to be Hitpod.
Like the normal Hitpod.
It has to be the normal Hitpod. 90% the same cards.
90% the same cards? Can I play the mono green version?
Sure.
All right, got you.
All right. So I want to go over one thing. I think, if correct, he comboed off a Merciless Barrage, which actually would have been a better card to play.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it would have only hit the first, because he comboed it off, I think, during an earlier attack. I thought he did, at least. Or maybe he combos off during this, or he has it in his hand. And I was like, he could have played it off there, yeah. And took out your 2 super combos, but I do not think, I saw his hand earlier, he had a Unison and 2 extra cards. 3 extra cards. So he could not stop it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And not knowing, probably him being a new player, and knowing about Kabutokai shutting down battle cards, he had a really good defensive plan against you for that turn if he didn't play the Goku and waited one more turn.
Yeah, I mean, even I was on an empty board, right? So say he gets to swing with that Goku and I'm forced to combo heavily, like my play on the next turn is swing with hit and play a 20k from the drop area. Since it's played by a skill, he can throw the Yamcha out and neg it down to 5, and then what's my offense for the turn after that? You know?
Yeah. So, like I said, this was more of a we're getting new local people finally, which is great. Like I think Fluff earlier, Jimmy mentioned, like it's like 5 new people, which is fantastic. So now we're constantly having like almost 10 people every week coming up to shop, if not more than that, which is feels great, really does. And that's not even with our normal crew being there. So with more and more people coming in, we're getting more people able to play on the camera, and those mistakes will occur, but we're here trying to catch them and then help them become better players. That's what we want. We want everyone to become better. With that being said, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Fluff, would you lead us out?
Of course. Make sure to click one of the videos floating around here on the screen. Hopefully it's not something that you've already seen before. And let us know what you think in the comments below. We know you hate the misplays. We know. You don't have to tell us. We know. Anyway, read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to. Like it's in our outro. Let us make them. As always, Fluff out.